Next, Onychophora and Arthropoda. The respiratory organs in this Onychophora and Arthropoda. Why am I discussing about the Onychophora and Arthropoda? They are belongs to different phyla, but I am discussing them in one phyla because the respiratory organs. I am discussing both the phyla at a time because the respiratory organs are seen in the Onychophora and Arthropoda. Those are tracheal respiratory organs. What are these tracheal respiratory organs? Before discussing about the tracheal respiration, I would like to ask one question to you. What is the color of blood in insects? Red color? No. That blood is colorless. Colorless means there are no respiratory organs in the insects. There are no respiratory pigments in the insect. What are respiratory pigments? Either hemoglobin or hemocyanin, hemoerythrin or chlorochlorine. These are the respiratory pigments. What are respiratory pigments? These can transport the oxygen and carbon dioxide in the body. If there is no respiratory pigment in the body, what happens? The oxygen and carbon dioxide are not transported through the blood. If the blood is colorless in the insects or in the Onychophora peripetus, the blood do not transport the oxygen and carbon dioxide. If the blood do not transport the oxygen and carbon dioxide, how do the carbon dioxide and oxygen are transporting in the body? A specialized respiratory system is developed in those animals. For example, this is an insect, for example. In this insect, two longitudinal tube-like structures are present. These are longitudinal tracheal trunks, and every segment has some pores, ostia. These pores can allow the oxygen into the tracheal trunks. This tracheal respiratory system or the this tracheal respiratory system is equal to the pipes. The pipes can transport the oxygen and carbon dioxide freely without touching the blood. Blood has no role in arthropods and onychophores to transport the oxygen and carbon dioxide. That's why the specialized respiratory organs are developed in these animals. The specialized respiratory organs are pipe-like structures. Those are called trachea. That system is called the tracheal respiration. For example, this is an insect. These are different segments. In each segment there are some ostia, pores are there. These pores or ostia transport, allow the oxygen into the tracheal system. This tracheal system can transport the oxygen throughout the body and into all tissues or cells. That oxygen is consumed for the cellular respiration. At that moment, the carbon dioxide liberated in the Krebs cycle. The carbon dioxide also transported through these tracheal trunks and through the ostia that excreted out. Here, the tracheal respiratory system in Onychophora and insects is a specialized organ system, a specialized system that can transport the oxygen and carbon dioxide in the pipe-like structures. Those are called the trachea. Blood has no role in the transportation of oxygen and carbon dioxide. Why they have not developed a particular respiratory pigment, and why not the blood? Why don't the blood can transport the oxygen and carbon dioxide respiratory gases? Because the insects have for example cockroach I am taking. Insects are cockroach. The circulatory system is open type of circulatory system. If it is the open type of circulatory system, the blood can flows in the sinuses. These are the sinuses. If the blood flows in the sinuses, those are chambers actually. the blood flows very slowly. If the blood flows very slowly, they can transport the oxygen and carbon dioxide very slowly. But these animals are very active animals. They require lot of energy, lot of ATP molecules immediately. So oxygen should be transported to all cells for the cellular respiration immediately and quickly. But the blood is flowing very slowly. How do they transport the oxygen and carbon dioxide very quickly and fastly? No, the blood cannot do that function. The blood cannot transport the oxygen and carbon dioxide fastly or quickly. That's why this blood is useless to transport the oxygen and carbon dioxide in the insects as well as in the Onychophora peripetus. That's why they have developed a particular respiratory organs. These are called the tracheal respiration. The tracheal respiration rush the oxygen to the all cells and tissues, and they can rush the carbon dioxide to out very fastly and very quickly. So that is our next.